grab a cup of coffee, and meet your next favorite author. Nothing's off limit on Hot Seat.
Hi, Maggie. Welcome to HEA Hot Seat. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
We are thrilled, and we both adored your book. Blue Jean Summer. Do you have the cover?
I do. And it is one of my all-time favorite covers. It is absolutely stunning. And I
I
feel like it
agree.
just captures the feeling of the book so well.
And this releases September 15th.
It does, right around the corner.
And do you want to tell the viewers a little bit about the synopsis?
Yeah, so Blue Jean Summer is a contemporary marriage of convenience romance. It has a little bit of a cowboy flair to it and lots of small town feelings. So Hayes Wilder has to get married in order to keep his inheritance. And the perfect woman for the job is his childhood friend and current Miss Virginia, Catherine Foster. The two of them could not be more different, but they form a bond and a really beautiful partnership to not only save the land, but eventually fall in love as well.
I just loved it. It was really sweet.
I love.
Go ahead.
I like the marriage of convenience trope.
Love it.
And it's not easy to do in contemporary romance because it seems so contrived so much of the time. But this was really delightfully done, and I think he did a great job with it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
my first time writing Marriage of Convenience. And I went into it with that in mind of I want to write this trope that I've never touched before. And I just had a blast. I wanted to fill the book with as many of those wedding moments that I could. I think sometimes in Marriage of Convenience, we kind of gloss over the wedding, over the ceremony and all that. And that's something that's really uncomfortable if you don't know who you're marrying and you're not, totally in love
Right.
with them. And I love
Right.
putting characters in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, yeah, you did it very well. And I loved the stepbrother and his door slamming. I'm like, I want to come through there and slap him. So tell me how you got this, how you got this idea. Was it just something like, well, I need to do a standalone, or I want to do the marriage of convenience? How did it gel?
I had a cowboy romance series come out a few years ago, and then it was re-released by Berkeley Publishing. And on the heels of that, I wanted to do another cowboy series, but I wanted to give it a little bit of a different feel. My first series, The Griffith Brothers, is very ranch forward. It's very blue collar, some rough around the edges cowboys. And this one is a little bit more high society. And I loved blending those two worlds. And so I took it back home where I grew up and decided to write this very idyllic small town in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia.
I know that you've said on social media that you had a complicated upbringing, and that this was the love story to the place where you grew up. Why did you decide to write that now?
I think over the course of writing so many books, I write somewhat autobiographically, where even though the characters and the settings and the situations are fictional, whatever they're going through is usually whatever I'm dealing with or sort of grappling with at the time. And over the course of 20 something books, I've really been able to work through a lot of emotions and, regret or um, negative feelings. And now I'm able to look back on those times with a lot of love and joy and appreciation. And I think that all of those things can exist in tandem. We're never just one thing. And so it felt like it was time to appreciate the other side of that.
And that it got you to where you are today.
Yeah, it did.
Whatever it is that you were going through. But now you're still in North Carolina,
I am, yes.
and are you in the Blue Ridge Mountain area that you were describing in the book?
I'm not. I'm actually in Eastern North Carolina, so I'm fairly close to the beach, which is great for me because I love the warm weather and I love easy access to the ocean.
Oh yeah, who doesn't? Florida, Texas, and
Texas, Texas isn't exactly the beach.
well, you go down to Galveston. It's a
Yeah, that's
petroleum
true.
smell, but you get
That's
the
true.
wave.
That's
And
true.
so Maggie, now I was looking at your Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and you have an incredible following. You, if I read this correctly, you kind of didn't start publishing until like 6 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
How are you able to, says the two boomers, how are you able to juggle all this?
Um, I think it's an ever evolving thing. When I first started writing and publishing, it was sort of in the height of TikTok, and it was such a great way to connect directly with readers. I think it's such a beautiful thing to have that sort of accessibility. And of course, there's downsides to it, but it really allows us to share stories and to get to know each other, and for readers to feel like they have a connection back to the stories and back to the authors. Um, and I think that I couldn't be more grateful for the way that everything has sort of rolled out over the years and how it's grown, because I look back at those very early years where it was like me and three very enthusiastic readers who were just so gung ho for my books.
Yeah.
And they were so loud about it, and they would put them in front of their friends and cheer them on. And now I look at those numbers and I think it still feels like me and three readers who are just really loud about my books. And I couldn't be more grateful because it truly feels like I have such a community around me.
So was your
How
first series the poker series?
Yes, the Beaufort Poker Club was my first series, and I like to say it has a lot of sitcom vibes. It feels like Cheers or Friends or New Girl, where you have this found family, friend group, and they just go through life together and fall in love along the way. Um, and I always come back to, like, I love them so much because I found so much of myself as a writer through writing that series.
Right, right. It looks like you published like one a month in 2021.
It was a little bit of a crazy choice to do that, but yeah, I think it was about every 2.5 months, and I was just cranking them out because I was so obsessed with those stories and I didn't want to do
I
anything else. And thankfully, I was able to go full time as an author, and so now I don't have to do anything else.
Sure, sure. But
wow.
you didn't have this all pre-written and then you were just editing and doing it. You were writing and publishing, writing and publishing.
It was a little bit of a rolling schedule where I would write one, go to editing, and send that off to the editor, and then I would start writing the next one, and then I would flip and send that one off to editing and get that one back to finish and go to pub.
Fabulous.
And so
Prolific.
it had a very fast sort of snowball effect.
Right. So how did you
That's
get Berkeley's attention?
Um, I have to give all of that credit to the readers. They really championed the Griffith Brothers series. It did incredibly well, and so many people fell in love with those stories, which then caught the eye of my agent, who then put it in front of Berkeley, and it was a great match. I met with some really incredible publishers, and I'm so grateful for the conversations and the connections that I was able to have with them. But when it came down to it, I really loved the direction that my editor, Carrie, with Berkeley, wanted to take everything, and the vision she sort of had for those books and now the Wilder Estate series as well.
so. Did you publish the Griffins and then Berkeley republished them?
Yes, they were originally published in 2024, and then 2025 and 2026, Berkeley republished the paperbacks. And so it's been so cool to see them in bookstores and to be able to walk in and see them front and center.
And are you doing book tours?
Yes, with Blue Jean Summer, I will be in Chesapeake, Virginia on September 14th and Charlotte, North Carolina on September 17th. And I hope tons of readers come out because I love being able to celebrate in person.
Oh, that's exciting. That's fantastic. Good for you.
So what do you do when you're not writing? Well, if is there anything that do you have time to do anything besides
I'm telling
writing?
you, you should look at her social media. She is busy.
Thankfully, my free time is starting to show up again. For quite a while, it was just write, rinse, repeat. I am also a mom, so I'm, doing family things. My daughter just started back in school, so we've had all that transition. I'm really grateful to have such a great team of admins and PAs who really do help me and do a lot of the work. I could not do it without them. I'm really lucky to have my name on it because they make me look really good, but they are doing
Yeah, they
so much
do.
behind the scenes for me.
Yeah. And you look extremely organized and in charge of your career. And that's what was so shocking is that you've done it in under 6 years and you're so young. Like, how are you doing this with a child?
Yeah. I will say organization is my superpower, and that's where I really thrive. And so I do like to have all of my ducks in a row and really, work on processes and streamlining things to make them easier. And like I said, I have a great team who is always willing and able to jump in and help me when I'm down in the weeds and, trying to finish a book on a deadline.
Do you
So
have the idea? I'm sorry, go ahead.
are you a plotter? Do you plot in detail, or do you have a general idea and then take it off?
I am very much a plotter. I'm a little bit obsessive about it at this point. I will always start with a big, like, 3-act summary of what I think the whole thing is going to be. And then I'll use that to break it down into a chapter by chapter outline so that when I sit down to work in the morning, I can just flip to exactly what I'm going to write that day. And I know where to jump in, what it's connecting to, and then where we're going to go next.
Nice. Do you have do you have writers that you read that you feel like, my God, I learned so much about craft from it? Or are you strictly kind of, I just need to read a book and chill out?
Absolutely. I think 2 writers come to mind. One is Lucy Score. I don't think
Oh,
anyone world builds quite as incredibly within the contemporary small town romance
Yeah.
space. She is the queen of incredible details, and I really try to emulate that in some ways, where it's not just a small town, but it's everything has a purpose, every detail is intentional, and it just really builds it out into a very vivid reading experience. The other
and
author
tight.
who pops, yes, the other author who pops into my mind is Catherine Cowles. When it comes to plotting, she is the romantic suspense queen and always gets me with the twist in the end, which I absolutely love. But I was recently listening to another podcast where she was talking about touch points and, making a villain reveal worth it. And so I'm, just writing all of these notes down so that I can sort of implement them in my own ways.
Yeah. What is
And Lucy
next?
also has a talent for every one of her characters is so interesting and multifaceted, and that's a real talent and something I think we all aspire, especially those of us who are writing contemporaries.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's never a character that is named without you also learning something else about them, or they have a purpose later down the road. And I adore her books so much.
Yeah. Oh,
And she's a lot of
she's
fun
so
as a
pleasant.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. We've had her
Yes.
as a speaker in Houston.
Yeah,
What
she's
is next for you?
Right now, I am sort of buckled down in the writing cave working on a passion project that actually came out of a book tour stop for my last release. I was, sort of killing time before the event and just had all these ideas. And so now I'm able to slip it into my schedule and write it. I'm just having a blast. Hopefully, I'll be able to talk a little bit more about that in the future. After Blue Jean Summer comes out on the 15th, we will be gearing up for the second book in the series, which comes out the first Tuesday in March.
So it
And that
is
one's
going to
called,
be a series. Yay.
yes. And that one's called Steel Toed Slow Dance. And it's a single mom romance. And I adore those characters. I had so much fun with it.
Is that
Oh,
Hallie and Mason?
It is.
oh, they were, she was she jumped off the page. She was so good.
I had so much fun writing her. I am a huge fan of The Parent Trap, and so I've always wanted to write a character that reminded me of Chessie, the housekeeper, and I think that Hallie really emulates that type of character.
Nice. It's so
and
fun.
the
That
and the
was so
cowboy and the whole cowboy vibe and um So Mason was a rodeo cowboy, right?
He did steer
Okay.
wrestling, which is really fun. I think we see a lot of cowboys, we see a lot of bull riders, and I wanted to sort of explore another facet of the rodeo.
Do you do research, or this is just because you grew up around that?
With this specifically, there's a lot of research. I did not grow up in rodeo culture, but I am really fascinated by it. And so it's really fun to learn about all of the different disciplines and what it takes to do it.
Yeah, and what it takes on your body.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And do you think that some of the interest in cowboys from Yellowstone and some of those shows that have been coming up, has that has that influenced um, what you want to write? Or
I think I think it has definitely influenced, some of the character archetypes that I'm drawn to. With the Griffith Brothers series, my first Cowboy series, the leading man of book one is a single dad. And I always say he has a lot of Rip Wheeler energy because he has that very quiet persona, but he's very protective. And so readers really gobble it up. And I think from the reader's side, they're able to see these beautiful visuals from the TV shows, from movies, and it just draws them even more into reading cowboy romance.
Do
what is
you
your
watch
favorite?
do you watch those shows just to kind of relax? Yellowstone and Landman and things like that?
My husband is really into them. I started watching them and I watch clips here and there. What I've noticed about my own creative process is that I really have to protect my headspace. And so, Yellowstone specifically, it can get into some really dark themes. And if I'm writing contemporary and I'm writing light and fluffy, I try not to
Sure.
consume too much
Upset your
dark or
soul.
gritty entertainment. Yeah.
It's
I try to
true.
stay into that, a more upbeat headspace. Now, if I'm writing
Yeah,
something that's a little bit more edgy, absolutely, I'll devour it.
yeah, yeah. I remember when I wrote romantic suspense, I would not be able to read any other author that wrote romantic suspense. I didn't want to accidentally take an idea, didn't want to see how they were doing anything. It just needed to be straight me.
And
Yeah,
that's
I am very much drawn to sports romance a lot because I don't write it. I don't touch sports romance. It's not my jam, but I love reading it. And so that's always a safe thing for me to read where I don't feel like I'm pulling anything from it.
Sure. Yeah. My friend writes that
do you read other genres, or do you read mostly in contemporary or in
in
romance?
romance.
Contemporary romance is definitely my happy place. And so I would say that's probably 80% of what I read. I also read a lot of poetry and I've gotten into more nonfiction lately.
Oh, how about
What
that?
nonfiction?
The last one I started reading was Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. And I have to admit, part of that was because I was listening to the audiobook, which he also narrates, and that was a
Oh,
fantastic experience. But I
yummy.
love hearing from people's personal experience. I love watching interviews and things like that. And, sort of stepping outside of my own little bubble.
Yeah. Well, we're coming to the end of our time.
And
That's how fast it goes.
I'm going to hop in with our hots every time we meet with someone. We end with a hot seat question, and yours is: if you were going to cast Hayes for a Netflix or Amazon series, what actor would you put as Hayes?
My go-to actor would be James Marsden. I think about him in The Notebook and just how dashing he looked when he played Lon, and so he has always been my Hayes.
Oh,
I
that's great.
love it. Oh, good.
That's
Now I'm going to have to read it again and think of that.
Well,
Thank you,
thank you
Maggie.
so much. It was
This has been
great
wonderful.
meeting you and hearing about your books and talking to you today. Good luck with your release. I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful success. And we're looking forward to your next one.
Yeah,
Thank
steel
you. Thank
toe.
you so much for having
Thank
me
you.
on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.